Hi guys, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I am on again finally to do some decorating of the pages of my underwater journal. Yes, I know I'm going very slow with this one. I must motor on though. So I'm going to do some simple decorating utilising book page pictures. So I hope you enjoy and I will get on with it. So I'd previously printed this page out from the collage tear papers, which craft do you do, on transparency, and I also have it printed onto my matte photo paper. So I'm cutting out this navigational piece. I think it's a compass of some description. And I'm just fussy cutting around the circles of both pieces. I want to layer these together, just add some nice depth. So I ink around the edge of the digital, just to get the white edges off. And I'll use my tacky glue and I'll just do a real fine line around the outside of the circle there. This glue dries clear, so I find it really good to use for your transparencies, but occasionally if you put too much on, you will see it through. So I try to just put it in bits where there's ink and just around the edges. And then I stick them together, and that's going to make a nice little tuck spot for me to put on this page. So I just go over the top and the side with glue there so that we can put something up and into that little tuck spot there. Very simple, but very effective. Just showing you how I can stick something up in there. So that's my first embellishment for today. Now I have this page which has ocean themed items on one side, but on the other side it has this. And when I'm doing a themed journal, I don't necessarily like to leave pages like that. So I do want to cover it over. I've got some paper here which my mum had dyed for me a long time ago that I've had sitting in my stash. And I love the colour and thought that would be nice. I also like the ripped edges on it, so I'm going to use those. Just ripping the number off that was on the bottom of the paper. Checking out what size I want to make it and then ripping the other side down. And it nicely covers over the text in the picture there. So I've got, I think it's Mermaid Lagoon there, and I'm just using that to go around the edges. That colour seems to go with the colour I have on the paper and that is on the material sticking out as well. So I'll stick that on with my, I think I'm using 450 there. If not, it's the fabric glue. And all the glues are from Helmar, of course. The link is down below if you want to go and check out their glues. And I have this picture of a diver that I'd like to put in here. So I like the ripped edges on the page, so I thought I'd rip the edges on the picture as well and just rip around the diver. Now I could have made that into a tuck spot, but I decided not to because if I make everything into a tuck spot, the journal will get too big. Just straightening up the edge there and assessing how big I want to make it to fit onto that page. Because of the top of the paper that I stuck down is ripped, I want to also rip the top of the picture. Just doing a guide of where I want to rip it off. Now I can stick that down and that will just add a nice embellishment to that writing page. So I grabbed that page of whales out of that Ocean Life book that I got from the recycling. I want to cut a few of the whales out to put on this book page that I've got. It's the title page of the Blue Duchess book, which I think was about a ship. It sounds like a ship's name. I love keeping start pages, and I'm glad I do because I really love this one for this project. So I do want to fussy cut some of the whales out to put on this title page. So again, just using my tacky glue to stick down my fussy cuts here. Another great way to cover up any pages that have text on that you don't want to see. Or you could use it as a flip out. And I've decided it needs a bit of grunging up, so I'm just putting some of my distress ink onto some packaging there, and I'm using my acrylic block here just to apply it to my paper. I try it out on some text page first just to see how it might look. Then when I put it on, you can't really see the colour much. It's very hard to tell how it's going to look, and I do think I want a bit more colour. So I just keep playing around a bit with it. Ended up a bit of a mess, but I don't mind. It just added some colour and interest to the page. I think I'm using my prized ribbon there just to get a bit more colour on. It's very hard to tell how it's going to look until the ink has dried, especially because the water has made the page darker and browner. Going around the edges with the prized ribbon. I've decided to put it on this beautiful page I have there. That's one of the WCDYD Digital pages. And I thought I could cut out a few more of the whales to make a tuck spot or pocket for the page in front of that one. So I'm doing really simple embellishments. The journal, I sort of like it cleanish, and I like a lot of space for the recipient to be able to play in it. And it's a great way just to use up heaps of book pictures and pages and that. So I'm adding a bit of text to the back of my whale picture, mainly in the area where it's going to be the pocket. The other pieces will be stuck down, so I don't need to reinforce them as much, but it just makes it a little more sturdy for when I slip items in and out. Just cutting that down. So I'm inking around the edges very lightly, just with my walnut stains, just to get the whiteness off. Just helps if you've cut a bit rough as well. So that will go on the front of this little piece. I think that start book page there that I've folded up has a page. So I'm just sticking around both sides and the bottom there. So it's a narrow tuck spot in the top of the whale there. I'm just figuring out where I want to place my title page so that I want to be able to see the title, but not the whales underneath my first page. And I can stick that down. So it should sit like that, hopefully, when I tie the signature in. Now, the last piece I want to do is this little mini envelope. I'm using my Distress Oxide sprays and just spritzing a bit onto the envelope to colour it up. I will use a bit of water just to move it around a bit. Dabbing it off with a bit of paper towel, just so it dries a bit and doesn't stay so wet. Also doing the other side of the flap there. And I'll let that dry. Once it's dry, I put it up against another piece of stained paper that my mum gave me. Want to cover over the inside of the envelope there to create a pocket. Well, I'm going to create 2 pockets, which will make sense once you see me cut it up. So just measured a piece out that will stick nicely on the back there. Ink around the edges, and then when I apply the glue, I don't want to close off the inside of the envelope. So I will do on the envelope outer there, being careful not to get too much on the edges because I don't want it to go on the inside of the envelope, and then just to line up the top there. So when we stick the paper on, it's still going to be sort of open in the middle of the envelope. So once that's dry, I will cut down my envelope. So I'm just cutting it in half there, and that's going to create these 2 little flip pockets that I can use. And I'll just cut down the flaps a bit, and I'm keeping the little corner pieces. So ink around all the edges, just using my prized ribbon again. Then I decide to put a little thumb notch in. It'll just help me slip my ephemera in and out, having the thumb notch there. And just ink a little bit in that little thumb notch and those top edges. So I decide to use the little bits of the envelope that I cut off, and I can do these little tiny pockets on what will be the inside of my flip pocket. So just ink around the edges of those, and then I can stick 2 sides down, leaving the one side open. Just cut the corner off of that one because it was a bit long. So I made these in, was it my last video, these little tags? And they fit really nice in these little pockets. I have a fussy cut out of the kids' book there. I keep thinking it's some sort of sea worm or slug or something, but I think it was a giant clam. But the giant clam is going to be swimming amongst the seaweed here. So, fair enough, but it fits nicely on there, so I thought I'd use it. And it's blue. Every blue sea creature I could find is going into this. So I'm just cutting down the fussy cut weed there. That is from the WCDYD Digitals as well. I've only partially stuck my little creature down so that I can stick some of the weed underneath him. Dabbing off some of the glue so I don't have too many big lots of it oozing out. Now I'm just adding glue to the top of the creature's head where I hadn't applied it previously. Trim off all the overhang, and then I decide to use the other piece of the weed. If I can use my little scraps up in some way or another, I usually try to. They don't go in the project I'm doing, they go in my scrap bin. If you hear a chewing noise, it's my dog eating some fish skin to keep it quiet so I can do this. And I tell you what, that stuff stinks. It's like really rank. So I'm just looking for a page to put my little pocket on. I did have a page in mind, but once I'd coloured it up and decorated it, I thought, no, I think it'll look better on a different page. And I really like the way it looks on this beige sort of page. It's a nice contrast. So I'm going to add it to this page here. So I apply glue to the little flap. And I stick that down, and that enables us to flip the pocket out. That way we can utilise that other side with our little mini pocket, and we can also write on the paper as well. Because we've got the thumb notch there, you'll see here I try putting it in and I can't, but then I turn it over and utilise the thumb notch to slip it in. It's a lot easier. We'll have a recap of what we've done in this video. Of course, the links to the digitals that I'm using for this from Which Craft Do You Do will be down below. There's also a link to a playlist which I'll add all the videos related to the things I make for this as well, if you want to go back and have a look. So we will try and find what we have done today. I think we'll start with this signature. So we did put in here in the front this navigational piece, and I did make off camera a little journal card, and it's just a book page picture out of a children's book, and I did use the words for the deep sea armoured suit, and I backed that onto some book page, and then I backed it with some book page as well. I really like the colour of that and this piece on this background. Sort of sandy colours, and that slips up into that tuck spot that we made quite nicely. And then we had this book page here, the underwater world, and on the other side was some unrelated text and a picture. So I covered that over with this beautiful paper that my mum had stained, that I had in my stash, and I added the torn out book page picture here. So I'm loving using a lot of my book pages in this one. We also started on this signature, and I did this pocket here with the whales so we can slip, grab a piece of paper, we can slip something in here if we want to. And then if you flip that open, we've got the beautiful title page of this book with the whales on as well. And I'm hoping when I stitch it in that I'll have my pages like this so we can see the title there, and then when you open it up, you see that. And then in this signature here, which I think is some cardstock that I got from an artist who passed away. I got a pile of cardstock. It has some lines ruled on it. I'll try and rub those out. But otherwise, I love the colour and the texture in it. So I've added a little envelope pocket that we made there. And I have put in a journal card that I made previously on video. So the link to the video where I made those will be in the playlist link down below. And I did use the digital ephemera from Which Craft Do You Do in a book picture and sprayed it with the oxides, and it just flips open like that. And I've got another little pocket in here that we can slip something in as well, like that. So I had heaps of fun making all of that. I hope it gave you some ideas. I got some good ideas out of that. I don't think I've made envelope pockets quite like that before, so might have to make one to put in my idea book box, whatever I end up doing, if I end up doing it. But that was so much fun. So yes, I'm going to have to motor on with this off of camera a bit, but if I think I should share something that I do, I will. I'll try and come back on and share my process of doing the cover and sewing the signatures in, if all goes well. And hopefully I can have it done sometime soon. So take care of yourselves, and I will see you again. Bye.